Hey, this is Billy Adkins. I'm going to go over the final, and I'm just going to go through each of the. I'm going to do all three of the tasks in one video. I'm going to try to keep it as short as possible while also hitting everything that we need to demonstrate the completeness of this project. I'm going to go ahead and start off and pull up our local host. So this is a local host. Have it in the dashboard final. Then I have a write files or write not files, excuse me, write films.php. Has each of the categories account, and then it has each of the category names, or not the category names, the film titles that belong in that respective category. And yeah, so let's go ahead and go back to the Visual Studio. So we used two files, or we used a, SQL schema to actually write the film um, to create a query, and then we used write films.php to actually get that displayed. So let's start. So we encapsulate in HTML. I had created the variables for the server, user, password, database, created the connection. If there was a error thrown, uh, the connection wasn't available, and then it'll display our message. Then, then else the connection was successful. I had actually used the SQL code here to already. I The way I did this was I created the table that had all of the information we needed. So then, if I just do select all from write film, then it grabs everything from this table that was already made, so I don't have to display all this. I can keep it all in one line, which I thought was a lot neater to do. So I have this as select all, but I've already created the table, so it's pulling from this SQL code here. Uh, then we have the result. It's the connection to the query um, based off of this code here from this variable. Then we are going to we want to write the query into the film categories text file. So we do f open, w is write, r would be read, and then the file name's created. Uh, if the result is greater than 0, then we're going to create the table and keep iterating through those rows. And then this fetch associate is the associative array, which is the actual results from the SQL database, and actually puts those into their respective category. And this actually writes it into the txt file, and then new line. Let's see, bank table row, then displays each of the table data's category, film count, and then the film list, uh, table ends, and then if that didn't work, then no results was found. Close the file to that we're writing into, and then close the connection, and then close off there. So all that data was written into here. Action, 64 films, and then the list of the films all the way down to, I think it was 16 different categories. I can't remember off the top of my head, but that's when we got there. Um, for the film, for the task one, right? It's a single move. Yeah, so now we're here. Let's go ahead and start on the second part. Uh, let's see. HTML. Okay, so this is the reverse hashing table. So instead of hashing it, we're actually going to take the hash value and we're wanting to convert it to a string. So I guess it doesn't really matter which one, um, because it's reading all three of these files. So we can just start with the this first list, and we want the hash value to return, we'll say pass. So we have the hash value copied, and we're gonna put it in here, and then the original string was passed. Let's do one more from one of the other files just to show what we got. We'll do oh, Andrew. Let's do Batman. Yeah, cool. So Batman's returned. This is our hashed value. Then this was the original string on the PHP side. So let's go to Visual Studio and take a gander at what we have here. Uh, we've done this multiple times, just creating the form with HTML. I don't really want to go too far into it. It's required. Put information in, creates the type as text, ID is hash. So whenever we do post, it should be we do post hash because that's the name that it's labeled off. Then it's a submit type button is underneath it. Very straightforward. I'm not going to spend too much time on that. Okay, so this is uh, not a whole lot of lines of code, but it has a pretty neat mechanic to it. Um, Titles created, and it's all in closed in HTML code. And then so we created a function or that is created to load multiple hash files and read them. So whenever I worked on this, created just made a function called load hashes. It takes files as a parameter. We have a hash map, which is just a local variable. It's empty, but we're going to actually store those values into the hash map because it's going to return. And then so if the file or excuse me, for each of the files as file, if that file exists, then the lines are going to be read. It's going to ignore new lines, and then it's going to skip empty ones. And then for each of the lines in line, it's going to make a list. Just going to create a list from the word variable and the hash variable. And we are going to use the explode function, which takes a delimiter, which would be our this little thing here, and we are going to trim it. Um, and when it's doing really is it's splitting up that hash value to read that line from that word, and then taking that value and mapping it into that our hash map array list here, and then it's going to return the hash map. We're going to create a variable called search hash, which is going to be our post method here, and it's going to check that. It's going to conditionally check that value that was input in the HTML. Um, and then this is basically kind of like reading all three of those files. All of them are loaded in together, so it's going to iterate through all three of them. And then the result for the our hash map is going to be displayed. No, yes, and then this is just H HTML with some PHP inside of it. Yeah, so if the result was found, it displays the original string. If not, wasn't found, then ends, and then it keeps it going to enter another hash of value, so you can keep going back through, redoing that as many times as you need. So yeah. Anyways, let's see. Okay. Let's move on to task three. So we have I created this entity relationship diagram. Underlined ones are the keys, primary key. And then we have just basic uh, attributes, which is like name, email, uh, completion, answer. So uh, I didn't know the best way to go about this, but I think that this is accurate to what we're looking for on the for the survey. So we have a entity of instructor that has a that also has like a UTC ID and also has a name. And there's can be one and only one instructor, but one and only one instructor can have many students. So and then the students has attributes of like they also have an ID, which is a foreign key to the UTC ID. So you could join those if you need or whenever it be. Name, email, and then I did CRN, which is the course registration number. So we can map each student to like a course number for the course that they're taking, and then the student there can be one and only one student for each survey. So one survey, one and only one. Um, so you have the survey ID number, so they can anon so it's anonymized, I guess. Um, the survey ID, the CRN that's attached to it, and then like a completion boolean, which is either yes or no. Um, and they can have one survey to many responses with a survey ID, question ID, and then an answer for each of the responses, and then like a question. So like just thinking about it, like maybe you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 questions, and you can attach a question ID to each one of those, and so you know which question they're referring to, and then having an answer displayed out as well as the survey that it's attached to. Then we have the weak entity, um, so response to questions, and um, we have two different types of attributes: multiple choice, text based, and then a question ID that um, can be acted as a key to look up on for responses and in those values. So, anyways, so that was the ER diagram I created. I used a Lucid chart. I don't know if I still have it up. Yeah, use Lucid chart. Very very user friendly. Really good for making ER diagrams. So, and I just download it as a PDF. And let's see. So I'll pull up the database here in a second to show that I created it. But I ended up making uh, I just made a different, I just made tables for each one of them. And let's see. Uh, yeah, drop if it already exists using survey, which I need to go back because I made a new connection. That's what I was trying to say is I've been using MySQL Workbench for this. Continue anyway. Okay. Yeah. Um, that's for a different assignment. Nope. Survey schema. Oh, yes. Okay. So I created a new connection survey. Um, use the survey, drop all the tables if they already exist. This is to actually create the tables, variable UTC ID, varchar, and then I made a primary key, then name can't be null, then just the table was finished, and then I just kept going through. It's very straightforward. I made foreign keys so that everything can be linked together. I did do completion as a Boolean, which worked. It just made it as a tiny int. So let's see. This is the only one that really is different from the other ones. Yeah, so completion is a tiny int. It's going to either be true or false, whether they complete it or not. But everything else is basically what we've seen. Strings, I've just made varchar primary key and had foreign keys reference from one another. And it's pretty straightforward, not too bad. And so these are all the tables I created with this. And says can't be updated, completed, parent of a foreign key constraint fails. It's because I already made it, so yeah. Okay. Well, I think that about goes over the final project, final exam. So I appreciate it. Thank you.